I think I should do an intro real quick. Ignore these tacos. Welcome to the Too Late Show Files. Today we're talking about the Santa Isabel Entity, a mysterious, enigmatic creature from Argentina that had square feet and white skin and carried an orb and apparently made people shit themselves. This is a very scary incident that has quite a few witness accounts with evidence, which is unusual for this type of thing, and I'm very excited to bring the stories to you guys on the Too Late Show Files. Hit the subscribe button, press the like, enjoy. In September of 1972, 3 separate witnesses reported encountering an 8-foot-tall entity with glowing skin and piercing eyes just like this at a manufacturing facility in Argentina. All 3 of these men experienced physical symptoms and time distortions that cannot be explained by conventional means, which means they made it up. Just kidding. This is my impression of an Argentinian man in 1972 seeing an entity. Me when I see the entity on my screen. I'm just waiting to see my first one. In spite of the consistency in their accounts and the lasting impact that the experience had on their lives, the Santa Isabel Entity case remains largely unknown outside of South America. So, what forces have kept this compelling evidence of extraterrestrial contact hidden from the outside world? I don't know. We're going to be asking about that today. And me and my friend, the Relic, are going to be getting to the bottom of this. Look at this guy. He's my own Santa Isabel Entity. On September 21st, 1972, at 5:40 a.m., night guard, played by Ben Stiller, Teodoro Merlot, entered the forging section's changing room at the Santa Isabel plant in Argentina, a manufacturing facility. What began as a routine inspection would soon spiral into an unexplainable encounter that left Teodoro grappling with disturbing physical symptoms and questioning his own perception of reality. The changing room was a large rectangular space lined with storage lockers with toilets on one wall, shower cubicles in the center, and long trough wash basins in the corners. Merlot had locked the room during his earlier rounds at 1:40 a.m. and found no signs of tampering. And as he prepared the facilities for the morning shift, placing towels and soap near the basins, his attention was drawn to a figure seated on the far side of the room, sitting something like this. But looking something like this. I'm not a Slav, I'm Chinese. The sight was chilling. The entity stood out immediately. It was an 8-foot-tall humanoid with white, plaster-like skin, a bald, spooky rounded head, and massive, horizontally aligned eyes that seemed to pierce the dim light. Its presence defied logic. There were no unlocked entrances, and Merlot had meticulously inspected the space earlier. Momentarily frozen, he summoned his courage, pulled out his and ran at it like this. Ah! He approached the figure cautiously. Is what actually happened. I made the other stuff up. Before Merlot could get closer, a metallic sound suddenly echoed through the room. The lights flickered off and back on in a disorienting flash and momentarily broke Merlot's focus. When he looked back, the entity was gone. There were no signs of entry or exit. The doors were locked and the ventilation ducts were sealed. The man disappeared. He transmutated. They talk about it in the files they just released. We know what happened. This is really fun, hitting my desk super hard. I feel like I couldn't be destructive for most of my life, and now I can, and it's fine. People like it. So, how did this man escape? How did this being, this entity, this creature, this tall escape? I have no idea. There were no signs yet. The atmosphere in the room was unmistakably altered, as if charged with heat and energy. In the hours that followed, Merlot experienced troubling physical effects, persistent headaches, blurred vision that medical evaluations could not explain, a red nose, like Santa Claus, just getting a red spot on his nose, and pain in his lumbar. He had lumbago. Fearing ridicule or professional repercussions, he chose not to report the incident immediately. Instead, Merlot sketched the entity in secret. He drew good. He had a good draw. This drawing would later become a key piece of evidence in the unfolding Santa Isabel mystery incident. Big time. What the did he draw? This is the entity. With a flat pug face. Who is this guy? Later that same day, as Merlot boarded a bus for his evening shift, the bizarre events continued. While the bus traveled through Los Olivares, Merlot glanced into the rearview mirror and was struck by a terrifying sight. The same entity's face reflected back at him, but this time the details were even clearer. Its upper lip protruded slightly like this. It was reminiscent of a canine's mouth. Brownish spots marred its pale cheeks, and thin arched eyebrows appeared unnaturally painted onto its skin. It kind of sounds like, to me, an old person. You know when old people have those spots on their heads, those liver spots, and then when they lose their eyebrows get real thin, so they paint them on? Maybe it was just an old person. The reflection of this entity persisted for nearly 3 minutes, unwavering despite Merlot's frantic attempts to locate its source within the bus. Neither the driver nor the passengers seemed to notice anything unusual, and the face finally dissolved into a concentric circle, leaving Merlot shaken and utterly alone in his experience. The psychological and physical toll of these encounters was severe. The headaches and blurred vision from the first sighting intensified and were compounded by the mental strain of processing such inexplicable events. Poor Merlot. I would have just gone, ah! Real lightheaded. It's weird because I didn't scream for that long, but it was like, I gave it a lot of oomph. I zhuzhed it up. The mental strain and the most recent incident prompted Merlot to finally break his silence and report the incidents to the plant's head of safety. He presented an enhanced sketch based on both encounters. And this is the sketch. It's terrifying. Look at this f***ing creature. This guy's way more fun looking. Holy Relic, press like for the Holy Relic. I mean, let's be real. This guy's a nice looking little guy here. Little guy's got a nice little face, got a good side profile, handsome. He's got his little saucer. Imagine him flying around right here. Merlot's experiences sparked discussions about the nature of perception and the potential psychological effects of working night shifts. That's why I quit a job once. Stress, fatigue, and disrupted circadian rhythms are known to alter states of consciousness and can potentially lead to hallucinations or misinterpretations of reality. Yet, Merlot's vivid recollections and physical symptoms suggested something far stranger was at work. His case, like other cases involving reflective surfaces and isolated witnesses, raised profound questions about the boundaries between the mind and reality and whatever may lie between. Like some kind of median. You know, like in the road when you drive and you see a median and there's people dressed in orange and they're picking up trash. You ever seen that? Where people pick up trash? Somebody explain that to me down below. What is that? And they're dressed in orange and they're picking up trash. What does that mean? Why are they in orange? Why are they picking up trash? I don't know what that's about. Somebody explain that in depth, in granular depth, please, in the comments below. Explain that to me. The nocturnal tranquility of the Santa Isabel plant was once again shattered on September 27, 1972, as Enrique Moreno, a 19-year-old administrator, embarked on his routine document distribution rounds. A glorified paperboy, it sounds like to me. At approximately 10:30 p.m., Moreno navigated his motorbike through the sprawling industrial complex, unaware that he was about to encounter a phenomenon that would challenge his understanding of reality. As Moreno approached a row of vehicle chassis, his attention was drawn to a tall, shadowy figure moving with an unnatural gait. Yao Ming, he said, questioning. Get it? Because it's like a really tall, weird guy.
Throws to Yao. Yao lean in shot. He hit it and it's fouled.
The entity's head and arms appeared fixed in place relative to its torso, which created an eerie silhouette against the dim industrial lighting. And upon closer inspection, Moreno observed that the figure stood nearly 8 feet tall, its pale, hairless, disgusting mottled skin contrasting sharply with a bright blue-green outfit that seemed to emit a soft glow. The encounter took an alarming turn as Moreno's motorbike inexplicably stalled, coinciding with the failure of nearby streetlights. This sudden electrical disruption left the young administrator immobilized in the entity's presence with its slick, nasty, dope-ass motherfucking glowing outfit. Dude was striking hardcore. Moreno was unable to call for assistance as the figure drew near. He experienced intense physical effects, including a throbbing pain in his head and complete paralysis. The aftermath of the encounter revealed further anomalies. Upon regaining his faculties, Moreno discovered a significant time discrepancy, with nearly 15 minutes unaccounted for in his memory. I'll tell you what happened. You know? I'll tell you what happened to that 15 minutes, brother. I tell you what, them aliens are known for it. If you ain't careful, if you ain't wearing a chastity belt, old country boy chastity belt out there, it gets you. Some like in Scary Movie, that big chastity belt. On top of the significant time discrepancy, Moreno also noticed that his wristwatch had stopped and became highly magnetized, which suggested an exposure to a powerful electromagnetic field, like the one you're all about to experience right now. Wouldn't it be cool if I could just blast magnetism through people's phones? But what I can do is say, hit subscribe, and then the little thing will light up on YouTube. That's about as much control as I can emit over people, yeah. Hit subscribe, press the like button. I'm a YouTuber. The following day, Moreno took authorities back to the spot where he claimed the figure was standing, and they found square footprints in the concrete. That's funny as shit. This is a crazy story, but the really interesting part of this is Moreno's account was given independently without prior knowledge of Teodoro Merlot's experience. So this provided crucial corroborating evidence to the growing mystery surrounding the Santa Isabel entity. The similarities between their descriptions of the entity's appearance and the physical effects that they both experienced lent credence to both testimonies, while also introducing new elements to the unfolding enigma of the Santa Isabel entity. The phenomenon of electromagnetic interference that was documented in Moreno's encounter aligns with observations from various unexplained phenomena, suggesting a potential link between such disturbances and the presence of the entity. Scientific studies indicate that exposure to strong electromagnetic fields can lead to altered human physiology, including sensations of coming or pressure in the head. Which head? The head. Am I right? Press like. It can lead to sensations of pressure in the head and distortions of the perception of time, both of which were reported by Moreno and the other witnesses at the Santa Isabel plant. The witnesses' experience of lost time and mechanical malfunctions further support the connection between reported entity encounters and temporal anomalies. So yeah, usually in hoaxes, people don't get blasted with electromagnetic radiation. That was really odd. We just had our own anomalous experience here. Was it you? This is more than just a simple misidentification or a simple hoax, it seems like. There's too much corroborative evidence. I'm fully in. I believe it. This is scary as shit. Also, look at this f***er. I mean, who is this guy? So, we skip forward a couple days to September 28th, 1972. Also, in the early hours of that day, we have now a series of enigmatic encounters at the Santa Isabel plant that now culminates into another incident that would further challenge the conventional understanding of the Santa Isabel entity phenomenon. This square-shoed, superhero-looking guy. Into the story of Lovold Rodriguez. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I don't really give a f***. A delivery driver, DoorDash, completing a routine shipment of sheet metal. This man found himself at the center of an experience that would add new dimensions to the growing mystery. As Rodriguez prepared to depart from the plant, his truck cab was suddenly flooded with an intense, unexplained light. The driver observed a towering shadow moving past his vehicle, its appearance matching the descriptions provided by previous witnesses to the entity. This time, the entity stood nearly 8 feet tall with pale, obviously once again hairless skin, mottled, disgusting, looking like an old man. Its freaky, unnatural gait, its legs barely bending at the knees. There's just a poorly rigged 3D model, basically. It's like if I tried to make an alien in Blender, in that weird rocking motion, dial E, dial E. Weirdo, dude. I would blast that sumbitch. If I saw that out back, being a country boy, I'd send a couple rounds down range without even asking questions. I almost sent a couple rounds down range last night. People were screaming on my property at night. Screaming, driving their car around screaming. Seriously. They were looking for their dog. They were looking for their dog. It was weird though. Rodriguez's account introduced a significant new element into the investigation. For this encounter, the creature was observed holding a spherical luminous object that emitted a glowing white light. The glowing white light illuminated the surrounding area, and once again the creature, the entity had a green suit emitting light. The glowing orb detail omitted from previous reports suggests a level of technological sophistication that had not been previously associated with the phenomenon. The guy had a f***ing orb. That's scary. Who has an orb? Who has an orb? If you have an orb, you're up to no good. There hasn't ever been once in a period of time ever, in any movie ever, where orb is good. It's always some f***ing, it's the f***ing Sauron looks through it or something. That's about the only example of an orb that I have, I think. And it's terrible. And that little some Pippin opens her up, takes a peek. Oh! Is it Pippin? Yeah. Okay. I thought it was Pippin. Ignore the orb. This encounter for Lovold, whatever his name was, Mr. Rodriguez, was also accompanied by a range of physical and mechanical effects that aligned with earlier witness sentiments. Rodriguez's truck engine stalled and nearby streetlights extinguished, leaving him isolated in the presence of the glowing, extremely well-dressed man.
Moments later, the truck's engine stalled, and the surrounding streetlights went out. Simultaneously, he felt a sharp buzzing in his head. Like Moreno, he tried to lift his hands to ease the discomfort, only to discover that he couldn't move his limbs.
The driver experienced a sharp buzzing sensation in his head that sounded like this. Ah! I just like to keep you guys immersed, so. Rodriguez also found himself completely paralyzed, unable to move or call for help as the creature approached. A deep rumbling sound permeated the air and Rodriguez's truck began to vibrate violently like this. I imagine now. It's just a reenactment. It's not actually accurate. Objects on the dashboard of the vehicle also fell. His knickknacks, his pittywinks, his tallywhacker. All that stuff just vibrated and fell onto his lap, I assume, and he was like, ah. And there was a guy really well dressed in a green glowing suit holding an orb out in front of him, approaching him. The only thing scarier than a homeless man approaching you asking for money. A really well dressed guy holding a white glowing orb. Right? I've never actually been approached by a homeless man. I've never lived where there's homeless people. So it seems like Rodriguez also got blasted with a horse's dose of electromagnetic energy, just like everybody else involved in this story. The physical manifestations of the entity's presence corroborate on the accounts of all three men, but very specifically Merlot and Moreno, and that suggests a consistent pattern of electromagnetic disturbance associated with the phenomenon. The temporal aspects of Rodriguez's experience also align with previous reports following the entity's disappearance. The driver remained frozen in his vehicle for several minutes, like some kind of Arctic troglodyte. I assume he was trying to process the events that he just witnessed, you know, an extremely well-dressed man holding a white orb. I'd like to guess moonwalking, probably, let's just say. It could be pre-moonwalk. I think that's pre-moonwalk. That's pre-Michael Jackson. He's alive then, but he wasn't moonwalking, I don't believe. Or yeah, he was. He was a little kid when he was... It's me moonwalking. So we have three corroborative accounts of three different men all around the same period of time seeing the same guy who is up to no good, who is very well dressed, who has extremely white skin, who also apparently has a f***ing orb. Which is cool as f***. I'm gonna be honest. If I had an orb, I'd be outside moonwalking, glowing up the place with. I do kind of have an orb right there. Shit, I didn't even realize that was cool like that. I just now need a glowing green suit. That's a little more difficult to procure, I think. So yeah, that's really scary. And the Santa Isabel Entity encounters of 1972 remain an unresolved enigma, challenging conventional explanations and highlighting the limitations of our understanding and reality of perception of the world. Consistent accounts provided by Merlot, Moreno, and Rodriguez, coupled with the physical evidence of stopped watches, magnetized objects, and unexplained time losses, on top of soiled diapers, all suggest phenomena that transcend simple misidentification or hoax, my friend. If you think it's a hoax, you think it's simple, you're stupid. You're dumb and you're stupid, and I want you out. Out of the channel, leave. Right now. Experts in ufology, psychology, and physics have expressed varying opinions on the case, with some suggesting extraterrestrial visitation, while others argue for psychological explanations such as mass hysteria or just hallucinations in general. There have been follow-up studies conducted in the decades following the 1972 incidents, and they have revealed similar cases of entity sightings in industrial settings worldwide, which suggests a potential pattern or commonality that might shed light on the Santa Isabel phenomenon. For me, personally, I believe it 100%. I am not gonna push back against it at all. I think it was aliens, and I think if they're coming, they should come on me first. Anyways, guys, what do you think about the Santa Isabel Entity incident extravaganza? I really like this story. I thought it was really interesting. There's a lot more on this around the web that we can, dive into, pull from, etc., etc. If you guys wanna see more, press the like button. Tell me what you want to see us cover next in the next video. Go to the Gump Club and watch the streams live every Friday night, 7, 9 Central Standard, somewhere in there. We're still ironing it out. But yeah, thanks for watching the Too Late Show Files, my friend.